My mom made a rule to stop us twins from fighting over gifts. Every year, one of us got to make a big wish. Odd-numbered years were mine. Even-numbered years were Zoe's. The first even year, she spent all her savings sending Zoe to a Disney summer camp. When my first odd year rolled around, all I wanted was a laptop for school. Mom said money was tight and promised to make it up to me next year. The next year, she bought Zoe the latest iPhone. When it was my turn again, she claimed Zoe needed expensive tutoring, and my wish was postponed again. This pattern continued, year after year, until my 18th birthday. I made my wish quietly over my cake, hoping for my first phone. After blowing out the candles, Mom handed me a neatly wrapped box. My hands shook as I tore it open. Inside was my sister's old phone, the screen spiderwebbed with cracks. "Zoe felt bad for you," Mom said cheerfully. "She insisted you have the one she just replaced. Even the charger is new." I froze. Across the room, Zoe was grinning, snapping pictures with her brand new iPhone, oblivious to my reaction. Holding up the broken phone, I faced my mother. "Mom, is this what you mean by my turn? After 18 years, this is what I get?" I asked, my voice trembling with anger. "One for me, one for her?" The relatives around us murmured, but I ignored them. When I was 14, I needed a laptop for a major competition. You said money was tight and promised to get it the next year. I had to camp out in the school library every night using public computers until they kicked me out. My project got downgraded, and I missed a scholarship. When I was 16, I needed new glasses because my eyesight was failing. You told me to wait because money had to go elsewhere. I suffered headaches for 2 years, unable to focus in class. I pointed at Zoe. Meanwhile, you sent her to Disney, hired her a private art tutor who studied abroad, and even bought her a purebred corgi. Every one of my wishes was for school, hers for fun. And now you call this fair? Mom's face turned pale. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "How can you be so ungrateful?" she snapped. "I've never shown favoritism. Zoe gave you something she loves. Why isn't that enough?" Her voice grew louder. "We only have so much money. Zoe's tutoring and social life costs money. You're just a student. What do you need?" I stared at her, shocked. "So only Zoe's needs matter?" My questions came faster, sharper, louder. Mom's face burned under the relatives' stares. Finally, she snapped. "Enough," she screamed. "I never saved money for your laptop." The moment Zoe mentioned horses on TV, I signed her up for lessons, over $100 each. That money was gone. "I'll make it up next year" was a lie. I could only afford one of you. What else could I do? After that disastrous birthday, silence swallowed the house. For days, no one said a word. When I got home from school, I'd lock myself in my room and stay there until morning. I thought back to when we were little. Even then, fairness had been a myth in our house. Mom came up with a week rotation system. Odd weeks were mine to choose what we did. Even weeks were Zoe's. But every time it was my turn and I said I wanted to visit the science museum, she'd suddenly claim the forecast predicted rain. If I suggested the library, she'd complain it was too stuffy. Then she'd turn to my sister and ask, "Zoe, didn't you want to go to the amusement park again?" Zoe would nod eagerly, and Mom would give me that patronizing smile. "You're the older sister by a few minutes, Chloe. You should be the reasonable one. Let her have her way, just this once." Just this once became every time. And that word, sensible, became the leash she used to keep me obedient. A few days later, she knocked on my door, holding a shoebox. Inside were the limited edition sneakers I'd been wanting for months. "Mom knows she messed up," she said softly. "Don't be angry anymore. Look, I got you what you wanted." For a moment, my heart softened. I tried them on, they fit perfectly. Her expression brightened. "See? Now we can move on." I didn't reply, but the bitterness inside me started to fade. That weekend, our family gathered for dinner. Zoe and I both wore our new sneakers. An aunt noticed first. Matching shoes. How adorable. Those must have been hard to find. Mom's smile widened instantly. "You have no idea. I had to call in a few favors to get them. They cost a fortune." Then she turned to me, her voice carrying across the table. "You hear that, Chloe? I think about you too. It's your turn now, so don't be petty or make a fuss over small things." My hand froze halfway to my plate. Something about the shoes felt wrong. Zoe's looked sharper, the stitching clean, and the leather glossy. Mine already had tiny creases near the toes, even though I'd barely worn them. A cold realization hit me. I stood up. All eyes followed. Without a word, I took off one shoe and walked to Zoe. She flinched back, eyes wide. "Take it off," I said quietly. Mom's face drained of color. "What are you doing? Are you trying to embarrass your sister?" I ignored her and repeated, "Take it off." Zoe stayed frozen, so I pulled the sneaker off her foot myself. Back at the table, I placed both pairs side by side. One was real, the other an obvious counterfeit. "Everyone take a good look," I said. My voice shook, but not with fear. "Mom says she pulled strings with friends. Tell me, which friend sold you this fake one?" A stunned silence filled the room. The difference between the two pairs was undeniable. Mom stared at me for a few seconds, then burst into tears. "You're doing this to humiliate me," she sobbed. "I worked so hard to raise you, and you throw it in my face over a pair of shoes." She cried louder, as if she were the victim. "They looked better on Zoe anyway," she snapped suddenly, her tears giving way to anger. "Her feet are smaller, the style suits her. Yours are too big. I found you a copy, so you wouldn't feel left out. You think fakes are free." Her gaze swept across the table, voice shaking. "I gave both of them something. What more does she want? She's always been jealous, even as a child." Then she looked back at me, eyes blazing. "They're just shoes. No one's going to kneel down and check if they're real or fake. You have something to wear. That should be enough. Why must you always make everything difficult?" My uncle cleared his throat, trying to ease the tension. "Let's calm down, Chloe. You can't talk to your mother like that." Another relative joined in. "She's sacrificed so much for you. Don't break her heart." Not one person mentioned the shoes. In the end, I became the villain again. That night, I packed my things into a suitcase. My high school had dorms, but Mom had always refused to let me move in. This time I didn't ask. I slipped out after midnight with just a few clothes and my textbooks. The dorm supervisor took pity on me and let me stay in an empty storage room with a rusty bed frame. I wrapped myself in my jacket and stared at the ceiling until dawn. Then my phone rang. It was my dad. He hadn't called me once since the birthday party. I could hear the sound of poker chips in the background when he spoke. "I heard you caused trouble again. Go home and apologize to your mother." "She gave me fake shoes," I said flatly. "And I'm supposed to apologize?" "It's a pair of shoes, Chloe. Stop being dramatic. You'll drive your mother to the hospital if you keep this up. Go home now or don't expect another dime from me." He hung up. My bank app showed $7.35. I bought 2 plain buns for $1 and made that my meal for the day. A few days later, one of Mom's friends, Mrs. Davis, found me at school. She held my hand and sighed. "Your mother's blood pressure is through the roof. She's stuck in bed worrying about you. She handed me a thermos. She made you pork rib soup. She's still your mother, Chloe. Be the bigger person and go home. Just give her a way to save face." The smell of the soup made my stomach turn. "Fine," I said. "I'll go home. On one condition." Mrs. Davis brightened. "Tell me. I'll help you talk to her." When I was 14, Mom promised me a laptop. "If she buys me one now, I'll come back. I don't care about the brand." Her smile vanished instantly. "You're unbelievable. Your mother's sick and you're demanding money? Do you want to kill her?" I didn't reply. I didn't go home either. Instead, I wrote everything down. Every postponed promise. Every lie. The laptop at 14, the glasses at 16, the broken phone at 18. Beside that, I listed Zoe's Disney camp, her private art tutor, her new iPhone. Then I posted it online. By evening, Zoe called me crying. "Chloe, why would you post that? Everyone's seen it. Do you have to ruin our family's reputation? How about we trade?" I said. She went silent. "You take my cracked phone, my storage closet, and my stale bread dinners. I'll take your camp, your tutor, and your iPhone. Deal?" She hung up without answering. My post spread quickly. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. It was my Aunt Carol, Dad's sister, a successful businesswoman who lived in another city. We hadn't spoken in years. Her voice was firm. "Are your bags packed?" I blinked. "What?" "I've booked you on the first train out tomorrow. I already got your ID number from your father. I'm texting you my address. You're coming to live with me. We'll figure the rest out from there." The morning after I arrived at Aunt Carol's house, she took me out shopping. By the end of the day, I was holding my very first brand new laptop. Not a hand-me-down, not something cracked or outdated, mine. She also bought me a new phone and a few outfits. My hands trembled as I unboxed the laptop. Aunt Carol smiled and gave my shoulder a reassuring pat. This is what you should have had a long time ago. From now on, if you need something, you tell me directly. For the first time in my life, I had a room of my own. A big desk. Sunlight pouring in through a balcony window. When I turned on the laptop, the first thing I did was open the website for the coding camp I'd dreamed of joining for years. Mom always said it was too expensive and a waste for a girl. Aunt Carol didn't hesitate. She transferred the money to my account on the spot. If you want to learn, then learn, she said simply. It's always good for a woman to have skills of her own. For the first time in years, I felt free. A few days later, Zoe messaged me. She asked how I was doing, if Aunt Carol was treating me well, and if I liked the new place. I replied politely, thinking maybe, just maybe, she was trying to make peace. Then came the real reason for her message. I'm preparing for the National Youth Art Competition, she wrote. It's a big deal for college applications. I didn't answer. A few seconds later, another message popped up. I heard Aunt Carol works in publishing and knows some of the judges. Could you maybe put in a good word for me? Just tell her I'm talented. I stared at the screen for a long moment before typing 2 words. Can't help. Almost instantly, a voice message came through. Zoe's voice, anxious and tearful. Why not, Chloe? We're sisters. You're supposed to help me. This could change my life. I typed back, calm and steady. Aunt Carol already paid for an expensive coding program for me. I don't want to bother her for anything else. After a pause, I added, it's the same camp I wanted to attend years ago, the one I needed a laptop for. Remember? The one Mom said we couldn't afford. Then I sent one last message. If you're short on money for the entry fee, you could always sell that Louis Vuitton bag Mom bought you. That should cover it. I didn't hear from her again. A few days later, while I was reviewing coding lessons, the doorbell rang. Aunt Carol went to answer it, and I heard my mother's voice echoing up from downstairs. I'm here to see my daughter. A mother can miss her child, can't she? Aunt Carol stayed composed. I'm sorry, but she's doing well here. She needs to focus on her studies. This isn't a good time for visitors. Visitors, my mother snapped. I'm her mother. Are you trying to turn her against me? Curious, I stepped to the window. There she was, sitting dramatically on the edge of a planter in the courtyard, wailing loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. Zoe stood beside her, face pale with embarrassment. What did I do to deserve this? Mom cried, smacking her knees for effect. I raised that girl alone, gave her everything, and now she acts like I'm dead to her. Neighbors began gathering around, whispering. My mother's voice only grew louder. My younger daughter is an artist, a prodigy. All she wanted was a little help from her sister. But no, her sister thinks she's too good for us now. She refuses to help and throws us out. Then she pointed dramatically toward my window. She's living comfortably now, so she's forgotten who fed her. But Zoe's a genius. And as her older sister, she must help. It's her duty. If she doesn't, she'll ruin her sister's future. What kind of person does that to their own family? Zoe tugged at her arm, whispering for her to stop. Mom shoved her aside. Let me go. I want everyone to know what kind of daughter I raised. Behind the curtain, I watched her wipe at her perfectly dry eyes, sneaking glances at Aunt Carol's door between sobs. This wasn't about Zoe's competition. It never was. She was afraid that now, with Aunt Carol behind me, she'd lost her grip on the one daughter she used to control so easily. She wasn't here for reconciliation. She was here to reclaim her power. Aunt Carol came upstairs and stood beside me. Do you want me to make them leave? I didn't take my eyes off the scene below. No, I said quietly. Let her put on her show. Mom shifted her strategy. When showing up didn't work, she started flooding my phone with messages. First came the calls, then the texts, dozens every day. Mom knows she made mistakes. Don't hold it against me, okay? Are you eating well? Is your aunt treating you right? Do you need money? Your sister didn't make it into the competition. She blames herself for everything and cries all day. I didn't reply. Not once. 2 weeks later, she found out where my coding camp was held. She was waiting outside when class ended. She looked thinner, tired, and oddly fragile. When she saw me, her eyes filled instantly with tears. She rushed over and reached for me, but I stepped back. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she dug into her purse, pulled out a bank card, and tried to press it into my hand. This is money I saved for you, she said, voice trembling. I never told you before, but I've been putting it aside little by little all these years. I just stared at it. She shoved it into my jacket pocket anyway. I know I wasn't fair, she went on. I spoiled your sister because I always felt guilty about her. But this is for you. For all those birthdays and promises I broke. The pin is your birthday. Tears streamed down her cheeks. It's not much, but it's what I could do. Buy yourself something nice. Don't depend on your aunt too much. When you're ready to come home, I'll come get you. Then she turned and walked away, wiping her face. I looked down at the card in my hand. I didn't believe a word she'd said. Later, Aunt Carol picked me up. I showed her the card and told her everything. Let's go check, she said. We found a nearby ATM. I slid in the card, typed my birthday, and hit check balance. $50. That was it. $50. Aunt Carol sighed, resting a hand on my shoulder. Forget it, Chloe. Some people just don't change. But I couldn't move. I just stared at that number. $50, the grand total of all those missed birthdays, broken promises, and next years. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text alert from the same bank. Transfer, $50 sent from your account ending in at 1823. Remaining balance, $0. The timestamp was from 1 minute ago. I showed it to Aunt Carol. She read it, her face darkening. She transferred it out herself? What kind of game is she playing? That's when it hit me. She hadn't come to apologize. She'd come to remind me that even when she gave, she could still take it away. Aunt Carol was furious. I'm calling her right now. She needs to. I stopped her. I pulled out my phone, found my mother's contact, and hit block. I graduated from the coding camp at the top of my class. The award was an internship at a leading tech company, something I'd only dreamed about before. On my first day, Aunt Carol drove me there herself. "Do your best," she said. "When the time comes, I'll invest in your startup." For the first time, the future didn't feel so far away. I threw myself into my work. My mentor said I had potential, that I'd probably be offered a full-time role. Everything was finally falling into place until one afternoon. I was leaving for lunch with my colleagues when I saw them standing in the lobby, my mother and Zoe. They were dressed like they were going to a fancy lunch. Mom held a shiny thermos. Her face lit up when she spotted me. "Chloe," she called, rushing over. "I made your favorite sweet and sour pork. You can't eat that cafeteria food every day." Her voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. She turned to my coworkers with a practiced smile. "She's always been independent. Moved to the city all by herself. Such a hard worker. We're just so proud of her." My colleague smiled politely, unsure how to react. Mom opened the thermos, the smell of hot food filling the air. She picked up a piece with chopsticks. "Come on, have some. You've gotten so thin." Zoe joined in. Mom got up before sunrise to cook. It simmered for hours. I looked at them, both performing their roles flawlessly, the caring mother and the gentle sister. They were counting on me to play mine, the obedient daughter. I took the thermos from her. Mom's eyes sparkled with victory. Without a word, I walked to the trash bin in the corner of the lobby. The lid popped open, and I tipped the thermos over. The soup and pork hit the metal bottom with a sharp clatter. The entire lobby went silent. Mom's smile froze. I handed the empty thermos back. "This is a workplace," I said evenly. "Please don't come here again." Then I turned to the receptionist. "Could you call security? They don't have an appointment." 2 guards arrived quickly. Mom pointed at me, shrieking, "You ungrateful brat. I came all this way just to feed you, and this is how you treat me?" I ignored her. The guards moved to escort them out, but she dropped to the floor and wailed. "You can't make me leave. My daughter works here. If you touch me, I'll sue." The guards hesitated. I sighed. "If they keep causing a scene, call the police." That word did the trick. Mom let them pull her to her feet and drag her outside. I thought it was over until I heard shouting again minutes later. When I looked out the window, there she was, sitting on the planter in front of the building, slapping her knees and howling for all to hear. Zoe stood beside her, face pale with humiliation. A small crowd had gathered already. Mom shouted, "Everyone look. This is what happens when you raise a daughter too well. She gets a fancy job and forgets her own mother." I brought her a home-cooked meal, and she threw it in the trash. Then she had security throw me out. She pointed up at my window, her voice shaking with fury. "It's all because of that rich aunt of hers. She's brainwashed my daughter, turned her against her family. But I'm not leaving until this company decides if they really want such a cold, heartless girl working for them. Then she locked eyes with me through the glass. If you don't quit and come home with me right now, I'll stay here forever. I'll tell everyone what kind of person you are. Let's see how long you can keep your job. It took a call to the police to finally get Mom to leave. Word of the office incident spread fast. I didn't need to guess how. It was obvious Zoe had shared her own dramatic, exaggerated version with every relative she could. A few days later, my father called.
He didn't yell.
He sounded almost calm. Come home for dinner this weekend. Your uncles will be there. It's been too long since the family got together. He added pointedly, Mom knows she was wrong. She's waiting for you to apologize. I wanted to refuse immediately, but Aunt Carol advised otherwise. Go, she said firmly. Some things need to be confronted face to face. And if anyone lays a hand on you, I'll call the police myself. That weekend, I returned to what they called home. The moment I walked in, I was surrounded by relatives. Uncles, aunts, cousins, assembled like a tribunal. Mom sat on a sofa corner, her eyes red, dabbing at them with a tissue the second she saw me. Zoe slumped beside her, the picture of the wronged sister. Dad, at the head of the room, beckoned me over and poured tea. Now that everyone's here, he began, we need to discuss your behavior. He sighed, putting on the weary, wise parent act. I know you feel hurt, but raising 2 kids alone isn't easy. Sometimes a parent might show favoritism. It's natural. An uncle jumped in. There's no parent on earth who doesn't want the best for their child. Whatever she did, it was with your welfare in mind. Dad continued. You're grown, with your own ideas, that's good. But you can't act thoughtlessly. Humiliating your mother at her workplace, what will people think of you? Of our family? He shot me a sharp look. Did your aunt put you up to this? She's never been married. Don't let her poison your mind. Blood is thicker than water. That bond can't be broken. Every word painted me as ungrateful, reckless, manipulated. Mom, sobbing beside him, added, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have gone to your office, but I missed you so much. I ignored her. I looked at Dad. Dad, I understand everything you're saying. So, what exactly is the sensible thing for me to do? He stammered. Come home. Apologize. We can be a happy family again. Quit that internship and rest at home. I laughed. So being sensible means I should have accepted a broken phone and fake shoes, thanked my sister for them, and let you ruin my workplace reputation? Is that correct? I met his eyes, calm and steady. If exploiting your own daughter in the name of love is what you call family, then it's a family I want no part of. Color drained from his face. I stood and faced them all. I've made a decision. From now on, aside from any legally mandated support, I will have no further relationship with this family. I slapped a document on the coffee table. It was an itemized list. Every postponed wish from my childhood, compared with everything Zoe had received. A lawyer had appraised the costs. Laptop, tutoring, glasses, law scholarship, emotional damages, all totaled $62,800. I rounded it down. $60,000. You don't have to pay, I said, but if you don't, you'll never see me again. Stay away from my company and my aunt. Next time you try anything, I won't just call the police. I walked out. Behind me, Dad's fist slammed the table, voices erupted, and he shouted, You wouldn't dare. If you leave, don't come back.
Fine, I said.
You said it, not me. They probably thought I was bluffing. None of them contacted me after that. I threw myself into work. Aunt Carol helped me find an apartment near the office. My career thrived. A year later, a project I led won a major award, and I got a promotion with a raise. Life was finally mine. Then last year, my father called unexpectedly. He wheezed over the phone, claiming he was hospitalized with lung cancer. The doctors say it's going to cost a fortune, he gasped. We've sold everything, but we're still short $30,000. I know you hate me, but please just help your old father. I hung up. Mom called immediately after, crying, Your father is dying. How can you be so heartless? Then Zoe texted a photo of a hospital bill totaling nearly $80,000. Chloe, this is life or death. Please, just help us this once, she pleaded. I called Aunt Carol. She investigated immediately. Turns out Dad was fine. Just a pneumonia case. The hospital deposit was $2,000, and he was well enough to be discharged. They had lied. The next day, I visited the hospital. Dad was in bed, eating an apple Zoe had peeled while chatting with Mom. They froze when they saw me. Dad started coughing violently on cue. Mom rushed to grab my hand. "You're here. Pay the bill. We can't delay treatment." I sidestepped her and placed an official diagnosis on the bed. Pulmonary infection. The doctor recommends rest at home. Total bill, including meds and stay, $450. Dad's coughing stopped mid-scene. His face turned a mottled red. I pulled out my documents. "Let's settle our accounts. You always said raising me was difficult."
Fine.
"Let's see what that blood bond is worth." I placed the itemized list on his bedside table. Originally $60,000. 1 year later, with interest, $65,000. Dad's lips trembled. "You're collecting a debt from your parents?"
Exactly.
"You spent freely on Zoe, luxuries, lessons." "Dad, maybe you should ask her to pay you back." Zoe's face went pale. I smiled at Dad. Based on minimum living costs, raising me to 18 years old cost $25,000. That leaves $40,000 outstanding. But I won't push it, considering one of you is supposedly ill and the other is full-time caregiver. I looked at them all. Even family comes with a price tag. Now it's time to pay it. After the hospital fiasco, my parents finally quieted down. I was thriving at work, with a generous salary. Aunt Carol helped me rent an apartment close to my office, and I settled into my new life, pouring all my energy into my career. She even introduced me to someone, a quiet, kind programmer. We hit it off instantly, spending weekends at the movies or driving out to the countryside. For the first time, life felt calm, almost peaceful. Then, one evening, I saw a figure sitting by the flower beds outside my building. It was my mother, holding a thermos, hunched under the dim streetlights. Whenever a neighbor passed, she'd smile and say, "I'm just waiting for my daughter." I brought her some soup. I ignored her and slipped inside through a different entrance. The next day, she was back. And the day after. She returned every evening, thermos in hand. The security guards and cleaning staff knew the story of the old woman who waited for her daughter, rain or shine. Gossip spread, neighbors started judging me, and one even cornered me in the elevator. "Can't you at least let her come up for a bit? She seems so nice, always praising you." I offered no explanation. Mom escalated further. She started waiting for my boyfriend, handing him the thermos and imploring him to deliver it to me. He reluctantly complied, visibly uncomfortable. I took the thermos, poured its contents down the drain, and said nothing. Later, he gently suggested, "Maybe we should talk?" It was clear she was trying to invade my life again, just as she had my old one. I called the lawyer Aunt Carol had recommended and explained everything. "Has she tried to force her way in or gotten physical?" he asked. "No," I replied. "She just sits outside and talks to people." He nodded. "This is harassment. We'll handle it step by step." Following his advice, I gathered evidence, videos and audio recordings of her waiting outside, talking to neighbors, and confronting my boyfriend. After a week, I had a substantial case. My lawyer sent a letter to the Property Management and Homeowners Association, formally stating that my mother's actions were harassment, demanding she be banned from the property, and warning of police involvement if she trespassed again. The letter worked. From that day on, she disappeared from the flower beds. She returned to messaging me, dozens a day, but I set up an automated reply. "Your message has been logged and will be forwarded to my legal counsel as evidence of continued harassment." The day our company, co-founded with Aunt Carol, went public, we celebrated. I moved through the crowd with a glass of champagne, exchanging pleasantries with partners and investors, many calling me a prodigy. Life was good. My boyfriend and I married. He became CTO of our company. We adopted a cat and decided against children. Work was fulfilling. My parents had left me alone. Their debt payments continued to be deducted, and I assumed I'd never see them again. Then, yesterday, an unknown number called. It was my father's lawyer. "Your father drafted a will last month," he said. "You are to be notified of its contents." I listened as he explained the will. Dad's poor investments had left only one asset, an old city house. The will left it solely to Zoe. The lawyer continued. "Elder daughter, Chloe, has, since turning 18, acted with blatant disrespect and filial impiety, abandoning her family and showing no gratitude for the sacrifices made to raise her. Chloe is hereby disinherited from all assets, savings, property, and possessions." He waited for my reaction. I said nothing. Years of pressure and humiliation lifted from me. My father hadn't changed. Even in death, he needed one last chance to control and humiliate.
Fine.
He'd answered the question I'd already known. Anything else? I asked. No, the lawyer replied. I drafted a reply to my own lawyer. Thank you for the notification. I, Chloe, hereby voluntarily, explicitly, and unconditionally renounce any and all rights under the aforementioned will. I will not contest it. Please convey my best wishes to my former family. I paused, deleted best, and left the word simple. My husband appeared in the doorway, hand on my shoulder.
Who is that? He asked.
I looked up and smiled. Nothing. Just a wrong number. After my lawyer sent the final letter, the world fell silent. That will had drawn a definitive line, officially cutting me out of my family for good. Life went on. My husband and I expanded our company. Aunt Carol had long retired, spending her days traveling or tending to her garden. I thought my life had finally settled into a calm rhythm. Then, last week, my receptionist called. There's a woman here claiming to be your sister. She doesn't have an appointment, but insists on seeing you. I told her to send her up.
Zoe had changed.
No more designer bags or flashy clothes. She wore a faded t-shirt and ripped jeans, her frame thin, dark circles under her eyes. The moment she stepped in, her eyes were red. Chloe. I gestured to the sofa across from my desk. She sat, fidgeting. Dad, he took out high-interest loans. We had to sell the house to pay off most of it. I have nowhere to live. Her voice trembled. Chloe, we're sisters. Your company is huge. Could you find me work? Anything. I just need a place to stay and food to eat. Tears streamed down her face. I was so stupid back then. Please forgive me. Dad's gone, we only have each other. I looked at her like a stranger. I'm not hiring. You and I stopped being sisters a long time ago. Her color drained. How can you be so cruel? I'm begging you. When your family judged me at that dinner, did you ever imagine this day would come? I asked. Something snapped inside her. She flew into a rage, sweeping documents off my desk. Don't act high and mighty, Chloe. Everything you have is stolen. She ranted on, eyes wild. Mom went to a psychic years ago. The psychic said you were a sacrifice, born to pave my way. Your life was meant to transfer all your luck to me so I could be rich and famous. How dare you be happier than me? The office was silent. I thought of the broken phone, the fake shoes, the $50 bank card. Finally, it made sense. I picked up the intercom. Security? 2 people, please. We have a trespasser who needs to be escorted out. I looked at her, still heaving, and said, Get out. And don't ever come back. After Zoe was removed, silence returned. My life moved forward. On our 3rd wedding anniversary, our company's overseas branch closed a multi-million-dollar deal. My husband and I used the funds to buy a real home, not huge, but with a beautiful garden. The day before signing, I received a call from an unknown number, the hospital. A nurse said my mother had fallen. Then her voice came on, thick with tears. You have to come. Zoe, she pushed me. She recounted the aftermath of Zoe being kicked out of my office, their constant fights over my father's remaining money, and her resulting broken leg. She demanded I pay for her care, expecting the same reluctant pity I had shown in the past. I remained calm. Please contact my lawyer to arrange my legal alimony obligations, I said, then hung up and blocked the hospital's number. The next day, bright and sunny, we signed the contract for a new home. The agent handed me the keys. Holding them, a deep sense of peace washed over me. On the drive home, my husband asked, What was that call yesterday? Nothing. It's been handled, I said. I want to plant a garden full of sunflowers, I said. He smiled. Okay. And we can get a dog. That night, I dreamt I was 18 again, standing in front of my birthday cake. Candlelight flickered on my thin, sallow face. I wished for a phone of my own. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't looking at a broken phone. I was standing in my new garden, sunlight bathing rows of golden sunflowers, all turned toward the sun.